Sorry everyone, but I have some pretty harsh words to say about the movie The Sadness, which is a new-ish Taiwanese but directed by a Canadian zombie film that's been released on Shudder like a month or two ago. They got a lot of buzz. And although I am viciously late to talking about this thing and having even watched it at all, I still kind of wanted to give my opinion on it just because it is a fairly prominent horror release. And when a new horror movie comes out, I kind of want to do a better job of covering these sorts of titles on this channel in a short review format. So yeah, to my subscribers and all that shit, if you want that stuff, let me know. I'll put more of an effort to do that kind of thing. Anyway, let's get into talking actually about the film itself. Look, I thought The Sadness was okay? But it was a hell of a lot more tropey than I was expecting it to be, for one. Like, I feel like a lot of people have been leading this thing on as being just this triumphant original zombie concept. But to me, it really felt like pretty much any other zombie movie. Like, it felt like anything like something like 28 Days Later or The Walking Dead or Dawn of the Dead or any other zombie title that comes to your mind. I really don't think that The Sadness is all that different. And I know it's a controversial thing even calling this a zombie movie because they're not zombies, they're infected, blah, 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 blah. They're zombies. I know that there's a technical difference, but let's not nerd out on the technicalities too much. They are basically mindless things that are there to kill people and infect more people. They're zombies, okay? Anyway, now that I got that out of the way, I was hoping for something more original, but yeah, what I got was basically just another zombie movie. I guess the infected or the zombies or whatever, raping everybody was something that was different about this film, but I really wouldn't call that a positive difference at all. See, that's the thing about this movie. There's a lot of sexual violence in here that really wasn't all that welcome to me, but I just need to make something clear though. Look, I like violent movies, okay? I'm not opposed to that at all, and some of my favorite movies of all time are all about an excess of blood and gore, but it feels like some movies earn that place. It feels like some movies have more of a right, I guess, to be excessive in its violence. Like with some movies like, this one up here, The Collector. The Collector it's a fantastic violent movie. Like, it probably takes things too far in terms of being violent. But there's something about it that feels a bit smarter than something like The Sadness, because there's some good character work in there, and I don't know, it just feels more creative. Anyway, this isn't a review of The Collector, but in comparison to it, The Sadness just comes off as trying too hard, in my opinion, to be violent. I think that The Sadness is really just full of chaos for chaos's sake and really not much else. I think it's one thing to tear limbs apart and soak the screen in blood, all in the name of either genuine shock or even just a laugh. But it's another thing to be exploitative in an edgelord fashion, which I think definitely applies to The Sadness, which goes hard in just about every way, but I don't think that it's really for the better. Especially with the many instances of sexual violence, the worst of which involves an eye. I think you can put two and two together and figure out what I'm talking about if you haven't seen the movie. And look, I've seen some comments and stuff online of people being like, oh my god, I didn't know that was even a thing. Didn't occur to me that you could do that, and how disturbing that is and how horrible it is. But honestly, more so to me, it became clear at that point that The Sadness was really just trying way too hard to be like so edgy. I want to reiterate though that I wasn't offended by this movie, okay? I wasn't taken aback being like, oh my, and like I couldn't handle this thing or whatever, okay? So before particular types of people in this audience bring out their like snowflake cards or whatever the hell you want to call me, no, that is not the case. The Sadness didn't really even genuinely shock me, actually. Like, I wasn't appalled by this thing. I wasn't, calling out for this movie to be banned and taken off Shudder or anything. More so, this movie really just had me rolling my eyes during a lot of scenes and like audibly, sarcastically congratulating it for being very, very edgy stuff. And there was something about this movie that didn't connect with me just because it felt like it was really immature more than anything else. It kind of felt like little baby's first disturbing film, because I've read a lot of stuff about how disturbing The Sadness is. A lot of people are saying it's really, really fucked up. And like, to an extent, yes, of course, objectively, it's fucked up. Like, I'm not going to say it's not a fucked up movie, okay? But if you think that this is the most fucked up movie that you've ever seen in your life, honestly, I think you need to get out more, because this was shocking and it was like horrible, but on a surface level. There wasn't any reason for it. like I said, chaos for chaos's sake. It just didn't feel like there was that much of a deeper level in there as for it being considered something really, really disturbing, if that makes any sense. There wasn't anything left to implication. It was all there, out on the screen. It gave you everything that it had. And in a way, that felt like he was trying too hard, as in it didn't have stuff to hold back. Like, other movies feel like if they restrain themselves, it's like, fuck, what else can you do? What didn't you show us? I didn't feel that with The Sadness because it just threw everything your way. That all being said, though, honestly, the violence in this film is nothing to be sniffed at. It's impressive stuff. I'm obligated to praise the practical effects for sure. The gore stuff in here is freaking top-notch stuff. Like, I was pretty damn impressed by that stuff, and I thought it was really cool, especially in this one scene that's set in a train. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about there. That scene was pretty badass. And yeah, some of the most blood I have seen in any movie scene in general. And I thought that was really definitely pretty cool. I also have to say that The Sadness did have some great intense scenes of like people running away from the infected and stuff. And it's like, holy shit, that's some scary stuff. Not in a way that I was like actually like cowering in fear, but like in a way where if I was in that situation, fuck, that's a pretty scary situation to be in. And I do also have to say that the infected people, or the zombies, or whatever we're calling them, themselves were also somewhat visually original as well. Like, I appreciated their matching faces and their creepy smiles and the leftover hints of humanity that they had in them looming over their inhumane actions. That's a great concept that I thought was done really, really well. I liked this movie, okay? Like, I feel like I've been shitting on it up until this point, just saying all the bad stuff. But that being said, I really didn't have a bad time watching this. I'm glad I watched it because I've been curious about it for like a few months. I finally got around to checking it out, and I had an okay enough time with it. I don't think that it is honestly like terrible, but I really don't think it is that great, and I really don't think that it's really any better than any other zombie movie, if that makes any sense. I've just been hearing a lot of praise, and I think that made me judge it harder, if I'm being honest. In the end, I reckon The Sadness is good, but really far from great. And that's about all that I have to say. So yeah, thanks for watching, and yeah, I'll cover more titles like these. You know, if my audience wants that, let me know. And that's about it. So before you go, please do the things, which are like, comment, share, subscribe, all that shit, and I'm gonna go. Goodbye.